is a holy role. A holy role. I mean, we are the chance to pray kids into God's kingdom. Now, we think our leaders are doing it, which is great. But the work is prayer. I mean, so here's what I'm going to do is I've got 8 principles, and what I want to do is just kind of go through these, and I want to talk about them. So the first principle that is that Christ's love compels. In 2 Corinthians 5:14, it's Christ's love compels. You know what? What do we have? We give people Jesus. Our leaders give kids Jesus. We get Jesus at committee meetings. What compels us to do Young Life? It's not the love of Young Life. It's not the love of our leader. It's Christ's love that compels. And so I believe that in every level of Young Life, it doesn't matter if you're on committee, you need to be compelled to love Christ more. I mean, why do we like it when kids come back from camp and tell their stories? It's because Christ's love in their life compels us. You know, that's what it is. It's not, too many times in Young Life, you say, oh, it's Young Life, it's great. Young Life is just a hammer to pound a nail in. It's nothing fancy. You know, what we have is we give kids Jesus. And we give adults Jesus. You know, and that's what we need to be about. That's why when we're talking about committee, I really believe if you're a staff person, this is your campaigner group. What do you do with campaigners? You break bread, you eat. Maybe it's dessert, maybe it's sandwiches, I don't know, maybe it's something. You eat, you pray, you share your life, you look at scripture. And oh, by the way, you talk about Young Life in the area. I think it's something to think about whenever we do anything, to say, how is this compelling us to love Jesus more? You know, if you're having a committee meeting and you're not walking away loving Jesus more, then I think you're doing something wrong. I mean, what do our leaders do with kids? I mean, you know, Christ's love compels them. I mean, it's amazing. And that's why they do it. It's because of God's love. God loved us first, that we want to love others. And I think you just look at it, okay, are we walking away loving Jesus more? And sometimes loving Jesus means you go through hard things. You know, maybe you go through financial challenges or changes in your area or whatever. And do we love Jesus more? I think that's real important. The next one is called what I call partnership. You know, it's not necessarily called staff support, it's called partnership. That you know, in 2 Corinthians 3:5, Paul says we are co-workers in God's service. You know, that why, you know, here I ask this question a lot of, why does God need a committee? Why does God need us to give money? I mean, couldn't God just snap his fingers and every kid at that school meet the Lord? He could. But why does he not do it? Why does he need a committee? Why does he need us?
Because he's invited us into the mission. He's invited us into his process.
He's invited us into the process. He's invited us into the kingdom. Okay.
That's just who he is. He's a relationship. He's Trinity. I mean,
He's a relationship. He's Trinity, yeah.
We are his hands and feet. We are his
Yeah. Yeah, we are his hands and feet. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this is for us. This is not for him. I mean, God could snap his fingers and every kid at school would come to know the Lord. It's for us. He wants to do a work in our lives. You know, and that's kind of scary. I mean, I don't know if you see committee as saying, I joined committee so that I can be more Christ-like. You know, a lot of people don't. They think I joined committee to make sure more kids are hearing about Jesus, but the reality is your life is going to be changed. You know? That's the passion behind it. It's not loving Young Life more. It's your life being changed and that partnership that you have with God first, and then with people on your committee. I mean, the wonderful thing about committee is you're all working towards a purpose, and that's for kids to hear about Jesus. How many things in your life do you have that's one specific purpose? Everything is all over the place. God operates in community, the Trinity, and he operates in community. And we have a great opportunity to share Jesus with people, for people to see Jesus. We had a guy on our committee, he was an engineer, very analytical, and very cerebral, very analytical, and we took your spiritual giftedness test. And then we went through the year, and we kind of watched God work in our lives, other people's lives, and we took that same test at the end. And this guy named Bruce, he goes, holy smokes! He goes, my faith increased. I have more faith now. And, you know, he probably will go on to be governor of the state of Washington in a couple of years. He's the Pierce County executive now. And he says, my faith has increased. And that's what we give people. We give people a chance for their faith to increase. Another principle is we don't have clear roles and terms on committee. Okay? We don't have clear roles. What are we asking people to join? And what I see in the kingdom, not in Young Life, but in other organizations, when they up the commitment level, people respond. It's really important to have terms and roles. In a lot of areas, put down, check the box if you want to be on committee. Say, really? why wouldn't we pray and say, gosh, I want Wayne to be on committee, because here's what Wayne can do, and I'm gonna go talk to Wayne and say, Wayne, here's how you can help the us reach more kids in, in Ellensburg here, as compared to, okay, you check the box, now I'm gonna go talk to you, and it looks different everywhere. I mean, there's some areas, their committee is basically around schools, and there are support groups around schools, and there are parents that meet around specific schools, and they support the leaders, and they pray for the leaders, and then when they do big tasks in the area, one person from each group comes together and they put together the banquet, and that's what their committee is. So they don't really have an executive centralized committee, it's really decentralized. Is that wrong or right? I mean, they had 15 different groups around these schools, and so if you look at committee, they probably had 50 people on committee, but yet it wasn't quote a committee. It was, which I love that model, because people want to be in touch with they want to really be in touch with grassroots, and it's focusing towards schools or parts of their community. So there's areas that call it like a mission community. It's not a committee, it's a mission community, or it's I like engagement team. There's different names that people go by.
Yeah, kind of the movers and shakers and the cheerleaders. So the cheerleaders around the direct ministry, the movers and shakers are what help fund and keep the ministry going.
Okay, so the next one is, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. If you want something done, give it to a busy person. Okay? And this is because busy people get things done. And I didn't learn this for about 15 years. When I left my first area to go to my second area, there was a gal in my first area, her name was Pam, and she was on the PTA board, she was in all these different things. And people said, what? And her kids went to Young Life, and they said, why don't you invite Pam to be on a committee? I said, are you kidding me? She's doing like 10 different things. Well, I left and moved to Puyallup, and a year later I go to something like this, and all of a sudden Pam's in the room, and I go, Pam, what are you doing here? She goes, I'm the committee chair. I go, what do you mean you're the committee chair? How'd that happen? She goes, they asked me. And my buddy Graham Reedy says, you know what, Pat, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. So if we look around for people that aren't busy, you know what? They're not gonna do anything.
There's a reason for
I
it.
mean, we can go around the room, and I guarantee there's probably 10 things you guys could be doing tonight, rather than sitting in this room, And so look for people that are busy. I mean, pray for people that are busy. And so anyway, what do you think? True, not true?
Totally true.
I'm changing it to productive person.
Yes, I was just writing that.
Productive person, there you go.
Not just busy, huh?
We talk about roles and things. There was this one committee, and I watched this, and they had a recruitment strategy that was amazing. And here's what it was. And I'll tell you where they got it from at the end of the story. What they did is they basically said, they told their committee, said, okay, what do we need? And they went through and identified what they need. We need people from this part of the area, this part of the area. Okay, what names come to your mind? And the committee chair wrote down all the names. And then anybody in the room could take anybody's name off for no given reason. They didn't have to say, take Corey's name. They just to take the name off. And then this committee prayed for 3 months. They prayed every day for 3 months for that list of people. And then what they did in the spring is they had a barbecue on a Sunday afternoon, and they invited these people to come. And I watched this for 3 years. Out of the list of people, there was probably 15 to 20 people on the list, and 10 to 15 people would show up at the barbecue. And I went to one of them, and one of my friends was there. I said, his name's Tim. I said, Tim, what are you doing here? He goes, I don't know. I just felt like I needed to be here. And out of that 10 or 15 people came 5 or 6 committee people. And every year this committee did that. And I asked Elaine, the committee chair, I said, where did you get this from? She goes, it's in the committee notebook. It's in the committee handbook.
Oh my
I said, oh, I didn't know that. And so, and if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. But it's too simple, but it's prayer. It's what we do. It's what teacher does with kids. It's what our leaders do. They have prayer lists of kids they're praying for, and we do that with the committee.
You talk about maybe it's a generational thing. One of the things we try to do is get younger on committee, but this is a general statement. But it just seems that with millennials or whatever you want to call this, society is less committed to something of a whole. They want to do a piece of something. And so, I think Young Life has to address this, because you got a lot of people coming up now. I want to do this piece, and that's all I want to do. And who's going to take care of get all the other stuff, the boring stuff or the dull stuff done?
I think that's great. I think we should almost decentralize some of the components on committee. There was a person on Steve's. He was on this committee, but he was a guy, Ken Chevis. So anyway, so there's this guy that was on his, that was on your committee, but he was in the area. But he would go out and raise, when I was there, he raised like $8,000 or $9,000. And one of the people in the area said, we can never get him to come to a meeting. I said, don't have him come to a meeting. Let him represent Young Life and let him raise money for Young Life, but he won't come to a meeting. I said, so what? And then finally they let him go. They told him he was done. I go, why'd you let him go for? Well, he wouldn't come to a meeting. It's like, what? You know, I mean, the question is integrity-wise, is he representing Young Life well? You know, and in my mind, he was. But they wanted to put him in this box. And he didn't want to be in a box. I call them dogs and cats. Okay, dogs are really good at meeting, cats are not. You try to get cats in a group, they're just all over the place. And we wanted to take a cat and make him a dog, and it wasn't going to work. And they said, okay, you're not involved in it. And so what he can do, he took his money and went to another organization and raised them $8,000 or $10,000. Adults are big kids. Okay, adults are big kids. And I say that because I think we think adults are different than kids. And I mean, we have the same desire that a teenager has. We want to find our place in life. We want to be valued, but yet we know how to hide it better than they do. You know, a high school kid, or junior high kid, middle school kid, they can't hide anything. I mean, they're just a mess. You know, but we can hide it. And so, but do we have an adult ministry strategy in our area? Do we have a strategy to go after adults? If we really believe that adults are big kids, what's your strategy? How do you get them involved? Or you just wait for them to check the box in the banquet? You know, how do you get them involved?
This is a new thought that I've just been processing in the last 24 hours. And it has to do with kids, but I think it has to do with adults, and it goes back to committees or our campaigners as well. But just the connection between shame and pursuit. So the kid that feels the most shame, is he going to come to club? Or is the leader asking him 15 times to come to something? And the level of shame and how much pursuit they need, what does that look like in the committee level of maybe somebody who's not contributing and just feels shame about it, but needs pursuit? The more they're not contributing maybe is the more pursuit they need, or the more shame they're feeling in their life in whatever capacity, the more.
That's heavy. Yeah, no, I think that's very profound. Yeah. So adults should just be kids. A couple more, because I want to honor our time here. What people create, they own. What people create, they own. The problem with Young Life is that our staff create it, our staff own it, and other people don't. And I don't want to pick on Lily and Jeff, but the what is it called? It's called, I wrote it down, the doc with your strategic plan. What was that called, Lily? What's that called? Okay. How many of you involved the whole community, not committee, the community in that process? How many of you involved donors, pastors, people that aren't even friends of Young Life in that? Probably not a lot of area. A lot of it was driven around staff, or maybe committee, or maybe just a committee chair. Well, what people create, they own. And so what happens in Young Life is we tell people what they should own. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't like to be told what to do. You know, I like to say, okay, what do you need? Kyle, what do you need? Well, here's what I've been praying for. I've been praying for someone to work with the business community. Really, what does it look like, Kyle? Here's what it looks like. Oh my gosh. Okay. I can do that. Hey, what if we did this and this and this? And so, but too many times we have it backwards. And a lot of it is, it's totally our fault in Young Life. When I came on staff, and you're not as old as I am, when I came on staff, there was a thing called area stabilization. You've never heard of this before because we got rid of it because it was probably wrong. But you as a committee would go to the bank and sign a loan that you would back personally. So if the area ever went in deficit, you would go to the bank and take a loan out, and the staff would get paid. It was called area stabilization. Who do you think owned the area? It wasn't the staff, it was the committee. I mean, the committee owned it. I mean, it was crazy. Now, we obviously legally, liability and all this kind of thing, we don't do that anymore. But man, that was the ultimate example. When I came on committee, when I came on staff, I was in the meeting where they wrote down the number they were going to go to the bank and each secure a loan for, and it was like $15,000 in total, and so they had to go to their banks and procure a loan for that. Oh my gosh. Now, I don't know what that looks like nowadays, but
That's skin in the
We
game.
still do that.
So anyway, so,
That'll keep you out of the months behind.
okay, two more principles. Next one is that we have not because we ask not. I believe we don't ask. I believe that we wait for someone to come to us and we don't ask people. And you know what? I think my prayer would be is that you would see who you are as a committee, who you're not. Pray for people that can balance out who you're not, and then ask them. Ask them. I mean, what would Young Life look like if our leaders never asked our kids about Jesus? It'd be a nice little, I don't know, youth group, I don't know what you call it. I mean, it wouldn't be, I mean, we have to ask. And then the Bible's all over about asking. We have not because we ask not. And I tell areas that are financially challenged, I said, you want to get out of debt? You ask 2 people a week to be on your financial team, and you will not be in debt. Never. You will never be in debt. If you ask 2 people a week to give money to the area, you will never be in debt. They said, I don't believe it. I said, well, prove me wrong. Go ask 2 people every week and show me wrong. So, and then the last one is people give the vision, not the need. People give the vision, not need. Nobody's compelled by, I need to raise $1,000 for this. No. What's your vision? What's your vision and level? What do you want to see happen? And what happens in Young Life is we have a budget that we turn into Jeff, which I call a maintenance budget. Kyle heard that he talk about this. We have the maintenance budget. This is what it costs for Young Life to be in, Con Al or whatever it is. But really, what is the vision budget? Because that's where you raise money. How many kids how many secondary schools or schools that you want to have Young Life at in your guys, in your area?
2 high schools, 2 middle schools.
2 high, so 4 schools. So the rule of thumb that we have is, is for every ministry, it's $30,000. So if you have 10 schools, 10 secondary schools in your area, your budget should be $300,000. And now that's not passive Young Life, that's aggressive Young Life, that's saturation of Young Life. That's not, we just have a presence, we have 5 kids come to the club. That's what Jeff was talking about. We have a presence there. So I tell areas, you got your maintenance budget you turn in, but you share your vision budget. You tell people, here's what we want to do. Because people want to give to something significant. Nobody wants to maintain. I mean, there might be some people that love just maintaining. I don't want to maintain. That sounds like death to me. I want to grow. I want to, so it's important that we share the vision. And most areas that are financially challenged, I ask them what their vision is. It's, well, to get out of debt. I say, that's not going to come. And I'm not. So my prayer for us is that we all would be the Bill and Carolyn Russells in our areas. That we would be praying kids into the kingdom. That you know what, when we share with vision and passion. Because this is not a temporal thing. I mean, the thing I'm excited about heaven, my girls, I want to see what God is doing. I want to watch I want to get up there and I want to see, wow, here's why I was involved in Wayne's life. Here's what God did. And that's going to be the fun part. And when we get to heaven, holy smokes, if you're involved in Young Life, you're going to have a lot of stuff. You're going to see a lot of things, that'll reach out, a lot of tentacles that go out. And most people don't ever have that opportunity. And that's a gift that we have. So I wish we had more time. I just want to honor the time. And so, and we can get into some of the more practical things on this through this next session. So anyway, thank you.